The Judgment. Commander Elena Reyes stood at rigid attention as the immense doors of the Grand Hall parted with a whisper. Behind her, the 5 other members of Earth's delegation straightened their formal uniforms, adorned with the newly designed emblem of United Earth, a blue sphere embraced by olive branches and stars. "Remember," whispered Dr. Sanjay Patel, Earth's foremost xenolinguist, "we represent all 10 billion humans back home." Elena nodded, her face betraying none of the anxiety churning in her stomach. After centuries of searching the stars for other intelligent life, humanity had finally received their answer 3 years ago. A message from the Galactic Council, an alliance of 17 sapient species that governed this sector of the Milky Way. Now, in 2189, they stood as humanity's representatives, the first to set foot on Lumina, the artificial ringworld that served as the Council's seat of power. The Grand Hall stretched before them, a vast hemispherical chamber with rising tiers of seating occupied by beings of astonishing diversity. Some appeared almost human, with subtle differences in coloration or proportions. Others were utterly alien, beings of crystalline structures, gaseous forms contained in mechanized suits, entities with too many limbs or eyes to count at a glance. At the center of the chamber stood a raised dais where 5 beings sat at a crescent-shaped table. These were the High Counselors, the representatives of the 5 founding species of the Council. "Approach," came a melodic voice directly into Elena's mind, a testament to the Council's advanced translation technology. The Earth delegation walked forward, their footsteps echoing in the sudden silence. The being at the center of the dais rose, a tall, willowy creature with iridescent skin that shifted colors like oil on water. 4 arms extended in what Elena recognized from briefings as a formal greeting. "Representatives of Earth," the being spoke, its voice now audible rather than telepathic. "I am High Counselor Zilith of the Lumari. We welcome you to Lumina, the heart of galactic civilization." Elena stepped forward and bowed precisely as instructed by their xenodiplomatic team. "High Counselor, we bring greetings from United Earth. I am Commander Elena Reyes, and these are my colleagues. We are honored by this historic opportunity." Zilith's skin rippled with blues and greens, an expression of acknowledgement. Elena had learned. "We have observed your civilization since your first radio transmissions escaped your atmosphere. We have studied your history, your conflicts, your triumphs, your art, and your sciences." Elena felt a surge of pride. Despite humanity's troubled past, they had overcome so much: global climate disaster, resource wars, the genetic plagues of the 2080s. They had united as one planet and reached for the stars, developing their first rudimentary interstellar technology just before the Council made contact. "We have reviewed your application to join the galactic community," Zilith continued, "and the Council has reached its decision." Dr. Patel stepped forward. "We come in peace and cooperation, High Counselor. Earth is eager to learn from the Council's wisdom and contribute our unique perspectives." A murmur rippled through the chamber. Elena noticed several delegates leaning forward in their seats, their body language suggesting tension rather than welcome. Something felt wrong. Zilith raised a hand for silence. "Humans of Earth, while we acknowledge your technological achievements, the Council has serious concerns. Your species demonstrates troubling patterns." "With respect," Elena interjected, "many species likely had difficult periods in their development. We have learned from our past." A massive being covered in armored plates that Elena recognized as a Dravik, one of the founding species, spoke next. Its voice rumbled like distant thunder. "Have you? Your current space vessels include weapon systems. Your first instinct upon discovering unknown life is to assess threat levels. Self-defense is not aggression," argued Ambassador Chen, another member of Earth's delegation. "The universe is vast and unknown. The Council has observed other concerning behaviors," Zilith continued, unfazed. "Your rate of technological advancement outpaces your ethical development. Your entertainment glorifies conflict. Your history shows a pattern of subjugating your own kind based on trivial differences. These are traits the Council cannot risk introducing to the galactic community. Elena felt her heart racing. This was not proceeding as expected. The diplomatic briefings had prepared them for negotiation, for proving humanity's worth, not for what sounded increasingly like a rejection. "The Council has voted," Xylith announced, skin now pulsing with deep reds and purples, "by a supermajority of 14-3. Humanity's application for membership is denied." The words fell like physical blows. Dr. Patel gasped audibly. Ambassador Chen stepped forward, face flushed with indignation, but Elena held up a hand to restrain him. "Furthermore," Xylith continued, "the Council deems humanity a potential threat to galactic stability. Therefore, Containment Protocol 9 will be enacted." Holographic displays shimmered into existence around the chamber, showing Earth's solar system with a boundary marked beyond the orbit of Neptune. "You will surrender all interstellar technology. A quarantine barrier will be established at the edge of your system. No human vessel will be permitted beyond this boundary. No Council ship will enter your space. You will be contained until such time as your species demonstrates sufficient evolutionary progress." Elena stepped forward, struggling to maintain diplomatic composure. "You're imprisoning an entire species based on your judgment of our potential, not our actions. This violates every principle of justice. You will be confined only to your home system," the crystalline counselor noted in a voice like chiming bells. 8 planets, numerous moons, asteroids, comets, ample space for your current population and technological level. "This decision is unjust," Elena argued, her diplomatic training faltering in the face of such shocking news. "You judge us by our past without giving us a chance to prove ourselves." "The decision is final," Xylith stated. "You have 60 Earth days to recall any vessels beyond Saturn's orbit. After that time, the barrier will activate. Any attempt to breach it will be met with force." The gravity of the situation hit Elena like a physical weight. "And if we refuse?" The chamber grew silent. Xylith looked at them with what might have been regret. "Then the Council will have no choice but to enact more severe measures for the safety of all galactic citizens." The threat hung in the air, unspoken but clear: compliance or extinction. Ambassador Chen stepped forward, voice tight with controlled anger. "We request permission to return to Earth and inform our government of your decision." Xylith nodded. "Granted. Your transport will depart in 6 hours. This session is concluded." As they were escorted from the chamber, Dr. Patel leaned close to Elena, his voice barely audible. "This isn't over," he whispered. "They have no idea what humans accomplish when backed into a corner." The news of humanity's containment spread across Earth like wildfire. In the United Earth Government headquarters in Geneva, leaders from all nations gathered for an emergency session. The Grand Assembly Hall buzzed with angry voices and frightened whispers. President Sophia Okafor stood at the central podium, her face grim. Behind her, displays showed simulations of the quarantine barrier that would soon imprison humanity in their own solar system. "We have 53 days before the barrier activates," she announced. The room fell silent. "Our options are limited. The Council's technology far surpasses our own. We have confirmed this through the data gathered by our delegation." Commander Reyes sat in the front row, still wearing her formal uniform, though it now felt like a symbol of failure. The journey back from Lumina had been long and silent, each member of the delegation wrestling with the weight of their unsuccessful mission. "Madam President," called out General Takahashi, head of the United Earth Defense Force, "I suggest we prepare our fleet. We may not match their firepower, but we should show them we won't be caged without resistance." Shouts of agreement rose from military leaders. Others called for caution. "And start a war we cannot win?" asked the representative from the African Union. "We would be annihilated." As the debate raged, a woman with distinctive silver streaks in her black hair approached Elena and slipped into the seat beside her. Elena recognized Dr. Lyra Zhang, Earth's leading physicist who had pioneered their experimental FTL drive. "Commander," she whispered, "I need to speak with you privately. It's about the barrier." 20 minutes later, Elena, Lyra, and Dr. Patel huddled in a small conference room adjacent to the main hall. The council showed us the barrier specifications during the judgment. Lyra explained, spreading diagrams across the table. They wanted to intimidate us, but they actually gave me valuable information. She pointed to energy patterns on the holographic display. The barrier isn't a solid wall. It's an energy field that forms in layers, like an onion. And during formation, there will be gaps, temporary weaknesses we could exploit. Elena leaned forward. "You mean we could get ships through?" "Theoretically, yes, but only during the initial activation and only for a brief window." Lyra's eyes gleamed with intensity. "We'd need to position ships perfectly at the edge of the system." Dr. Patel frowned. "Even if we could get past the barrier, where would we go?" "The Council controls this entire sector." "Not the entire galaxy," Lyra replied. "There are unexplored regions beyond Council space. The Perseus Arm, for instance. It's largely unmapped and believed to be unclaimed." Elena paced the room. "How many ships could make it through?" 3, maybe 4 at most, Lyra said. "They'd need to be large enough to sustain a colony, but small enough to slip through the gaps." The door opened, and Ambassador Chen entered with President Okafor. Both looked exhausted. "We overheard," the president said. "Tell me more about this plan, Dr. Zhang." Over the next 3 weeks, as Earth publicly prepared to accept the Council's terms, a secret plan formed. 3 colony ships were prepared under the guise of solar system settlement vessels: the Odyssey, the Phoenix, and the Endeavor. Each would carry 10,000 carefully selected colonists, scientists, engineers, doctors, soldiers, farmers, teachers, the best of humanity, chosen for their skills and adaptability. Frozen embryos and genetic samples would provide future generations with genetic diversity. Manufacturing equipment would allow them to build a new home wherever they landed. On the night before the barrier activation, families said tearful goodbyes. Many volunteers left loved ones behind, knowing they might never see Earth again. In her quarters aboard the Phoenix, Elena Reyes recorded a final message to her brother. "I don't know if you'll ever see this," she said, wiping away tears, "but I have to try. We all do. If we stay, humanity will be trapped forever. Out there, we have a chance to build something new, something greater than what the Council thinks we're capable of." At launch facilities across Earth, 3 massive ships quietly lifted into space, accelerating toward the edge of the solar system, racing against time. Earth's official government sent messages of compliance to the Council, while secretly hoping their children would find freedom among the stars. The breakthrough. Captain Elena Reyes stood at the observation window of Haven Colony's central hub, watching the double sunrise that marked the beginning of another 29-hour day. 20 years had passed since the 3 colony ships had slipped through the Council's quarantine barrier. 20 years of hardship, sacrifice, and gradual triumph. Haven, the 3rd planet orbiting a binary star system in the Perseus Arm, had proven to be more hostile than their initial scans suggested. Higher gravity, unpredictable weather patterns, and a complex ecosystem of microorganisms that had initially made colonists violently ill, all had tested humanity's resolve in those first difficult years. Elena touched the scar that ran from her temple to her jaw, a reminder of the flash flood that had destroyed their first settlement. 43 colonists had died that day. Still admiring the view after all these years, Dr. Sanjay Patel, now Haven's chief xenobiologist, joined her at the window. His once black hair was now mostly gray, his face lined with the marks of 2 decades spent helping humanity adapt to their new home. "Never gets old," Elena replied. 2 suns, one blue, one orange. Not something you'd see back in Sol system. Both fell silent at the mention of Earth. Though 20 years had passed, the wound of separation remained raw. 30 billion humans remained trapped behind the Council's barrier, unaware that a small fragment of humanity had escaped and flourished. "The council meeting is about to start," Sanjay reminded her. "Lyra says she has something important to announce." Elena nodded. Though she had stepped down as military commander years ago, as one of the founders, she still held a seat on Haven's council, the colony's governing body. The council chamber was located deep within the mountain that housed Haven's main settlement. Like many of their structures, it was built partially underground, a precaution against detection by any passing council ships. Though they had seen no sign of council presence in the Perseus arm, caution had become second nature. Around the circular table sat the 12 members of the Haven Council. Some were original colonists from Earth. Others represented the new generation born on Haven, stronger, faster, and better adapted to the higher gravity of their new home. At the head of the table stood Dr. Lyra John, her once black hair now streaked with silver. For 2 decades, she had led Haven's research division, focusing primarily on the barrier technology that had imprisoned Earth. "Thank you all for coming," Lyra began, activating a holographic display in the center of the table. "After 20 years of research, we've had a breakthrough that will change everything." The hologram showed what appeared to be a ring-shaped device with a swirling energy field at its center. "We've reverse-engineered the principles behind the Council's quarantine barrier," Lyra continued, her eyes bright with excitement. "But instead of using it to contain, we've modified it to connect." Her assistant, Marcus Chen, son of the late Ambassador Chen who had died during the difficult early years, stepped forward. A brilliant engineer born during the journey from Earth, he had grown up never knowing humanity's homeworld. "We call it a fold gate," Marcus explained. "It creates a controlled dimensional fold between 2 points in space. In simple terms, it allows near instantaneous travel between any 2 gates." Elena leaned forward. "You're talking about faster than light travel. Better than what we had on Earth." "Far better," Lyra confirmed. "The Council's FTL drives allowed ships to travel at approximately 50 times the speed of light. Our calculations suggest the fold gates would effectively create a tunnel through spacetime, reducing travel time between connected points to minutes, regardless of distance." Murmurs spread around the table. If true, this was revolutionary. "We've successfully tested it on a small scale," Marcus added. "We sent probes through a miniature version of the gate and recovered them intact. We're ready for a full-scale test." Elena considered the implications. If this works, we could build more colonies, create a network beyond the Council's reach. "Exactly," Lyra nodded. "And eventually, perhaps find a way back to Earth." Counselor Anea Okafor, daughter of Earth's last president and Haven's chief agricultural scientist, voiced the concern that hung in the air. "What if the Council detects this technology? We've remained hidden for 20 years. This could expose us." "The fold gates create minimal energy signatures during activation," Marcus explained. "Nothing like the massive radiation burst from conventional FTL drives. Unless the Council is actively looking in exactly the right place at exactly the right time, they won't detect it." After hours of debate, the Council approved the construction of Haven's first full-scale fold gate. The decision wasn't unanimous, but the potential benefits outweighed the risks. Work began immediately, with resources diverted from other projects. 3 months later, Elena stood before the completed fold gate, a massive ring structure 50 meters in diameter, constructed in a hidden valley 30 kilometers from the main settlement. The entire adult population of Haven, now numbering nearly 15,000, had gathered to witness the historic test. Lyra and Marcus made final adjustments to the control systems housed in a bunker near the gate. They had built a small, unmanned ship equipped with sensors and cameras that would attempt the first passage. "All systems are ready," Marcus announced over the comm system. "Power levels at optimal capacity. Dimensional calculations complete." Lyra took a deep breath and looked at Elena. "As Council representative, would you like to give the command?" Elena stepped forward. The moment felt weightier than she had anticipated. A potential turning point for humanity's future. "Activate the fold gate." Energy crackled along the ring's surface. The space within the gate shimmered and then seemed to fold inward, creating a swirling tunnel of blue-white light. Instruments around the valley recorded every detail of the process. Sending test vessel through in 3, 2, 1. Marcus pressed a series of commands. The small ship moved forward into the tunnel of light and vanished. Seconds ticked by in tense silence. Receiving telemetry, Lyra announced, her voice tight with concentration. The ship has arrived at the designated coordinates, an empty star system 300 light-years from here. All systems functioning normally. A cheer erupted from the assembled crowd. Elena felt tears forming in her eyes. After 20 years of exile, humanity had just taken a massive leap forward. Recall sequence initiated, Marcus stated, bringing the vessel back through. The gate's energy field pulsed, and moments later, the test ship reappeared, emerging from the tunnel apparently unscathed. Complete success, Lyra shouted, embracing Marcus. The fold worked perfectly in both directions. As celebrations broke out around them, Elena pulled Lyra aside. What's next? We build more gates, Lyra said, her eyes gleaming with possibilities. We establish new colonies and systems far from Council space. We create a network of human worlds, each developing different specialties, sharing resources and knowledge. And Earth? Elena asked softly. Lyra's expression grew serious. That's much more complicated. The barrier around Sol system operates on similar principles, but at a vastly larger scale. Breaking through would require tremendous energy and precise calculations, but with enough gates, enough resources, it might be possible someday. That night, as Haven's twin moons rose over the settlement, the colony's leadership gathered to discuss their next steps. The successful test had opened new horizons, but also raised new questions and concerns. We should prioritize establishing at least 3 new colony worlds, suggested Marcus. Spread humanity out to ensure our survival. Counselor Dmitry Volkov, head of Haven's defense force, nodded in agreement. And we should develop ships capable of traveling through the gates, not just exploration vessels, but defensive craft as well. We've been fortunate to remain undiscovered, but that luck won't last forever. This technology gives us an advantage the Council doesn't expect. Elena noted. For the first time, we have something they don't, something that could eventually challenge their dominance. The discussion continued late into the night as plans formed for humanity's expansion. They would move cautiously but purposefully, establishing colonies on carefully selected worlds, building a hidden network that would grow stronger with each passing year. As the meeting concluded, Elena found herself once again at the observation window, gazing at the unfamiliar stars. 20 years ago, the Galactic Council had judged humanity too dangerous to join their community. They had feared humanity's adaptability, innovation, and determination. Now those very traits were enabling humanity's renaissance, not as part of the Council's ordered galaxy, but as something new and potentially greater. The Council had intended to contain humanity, to limit its potential. Instead, they had merely pruned it, allowing it to grow in unexpected directions. They were right to fear us, Elena whispered to herself, but not for the reasons they thought. She turned away from the window, toward the future that beckoned from beyond the stars. The breakthrough had changed everything. Humanity's exile had become its opportunity, and from this distant outpost, a new human civilization would arise, one that would eventually make the Council understand the full measure of what it meant to be human.